Welcome back YouTube, this is Cellphone Spammer here, and this is part 2 of my side video. So for the side deck video before, we talked about the indestructible monsters and I want to state your opinions. Now this is the part 2 where I want to talk about Smashing Ground versus Soul Taker. Now let's go back to ILP sides. Okay, now let's put these away because we're not talking about them in this video. Now, I know the other video is very short, very quick. Unfortunately, I've been having some internet issues since I'm actually moving houses. So a lot of my wiring has been redone, and I'm finding there's a lot of issues right now with my internet, whether it's going on and off. So this will probably be another quick video, but just in time before we gotta go tonight. So let's see, Smashing Ground and Soul Taker. Now, a lot of people want to play Soul Taker this format mainly because of Chaos Dragons and E-Heroes. The thing about Soul Taker over Smashing Ground is that Smashing Ground only hits the highest defense monster on your opponent's side of the field, while Soul Taker you get to choose which face-up monster you want to destroy on your opponent's side of the field. Another key difference here is that Soul Taker has an additional effect where your opponent gains 1,000 life points, while Smashing Ground does not. The reason why you want the effect to gain for your opponent to actually gain more life is for cards like we talked about before in the previous video with Light Pulsar Dragon and Elemental Hero The Shining, where most of the time when these cards are destroyed and sent to grave, they will be able to get an additional effect. In Shining's case, adding 2 banished Elemental Heroes back to hand, or in Light Pulsar's ability where he can special summon a level 5 or higher Dark Monster from your graveyard, so usually the Red MD is the main target or the Dark Flare. These can only work if the last thing to resolve was either Light Pulsar or Shining were destroyed, but if we use Smashing Ground, that will be the exact same case. Their effects will go off, and you pretty much just summon another monster, or you set up for defeat next turn. While Soul Taker, with the additional effect to gain 1,000 life points, it interrupts the destruction, since the disruption is actually the first thing to happen. They destroy the monster first. Then when the monster attempts to activate its effect on its destruction, it cannot, because halfway through the effects of Soul Taker, its second effect will then kick in, giving your opponent 1,000 life points, instead of giving them the extra beat stick or the next setup play. However, there are some situations where I believe that Smashing Ground is superior to the Soul Taker. I really don't like the idea that my opponent's gaining 1,000 more life points, especially in decks like Heroes, where, oh, I just gave you 1,000 more life points. I gave you a free skill drain, and a free skill drain is never a good thing. Or I give you just enough life points to do another Solemn Warning, though that could be argued for many other decks, though Chaos Dragons are scarcely using traps. Usually I'll call the Haunted or Torrential, nothing major, or some of them will only play the Solemn Brigade and that's it, 2 warnings and a Judgment. The thing is with Smashing Ground though, it does not give your opponent the advantage of gaining 1,000 more life points. It will still hit a pretty decently high monster because usually the monster with the higher attack also has the higher defense. My main argument with Smashing Ground would be cards such as in Dark World. So if we type in Dark World Grapha, well, let's see if I can find Grapha some here. Grapha. Okay, let's take a look at Grapha. Grapha is a beat stick that keeps coming back. Why do I want to give my opponent 1,000 life points if I know this guy's coming back next turn anyways, if they just summon any Dark World monster and bounces it other than a Grapha? I'd rather use a Smashing Ground to get rid of it for the turn, deal my stuff, and not potentially lower the amount of damage I do because Soul Taker gave them 1,000 more points and I'm 1,000 less because of that. If they have, say, 5,000 life points left and they only have a Grapha on the field and 1 card in hand, if I have 2 monsters that can deal 2,500 points of damage, like 2 Light Pulsar Dragons, and this guy's in my way, I'm not going to use a Soul Taker just to get rid of him, give him 1,000 more life points, and they'll still have 1,000 life points left with direct attacks. I'd rather Smashing Ground this situation. Or the idea of Soul Taker versus indestructible monsters for Exceed, such as Gachi Gachi, Zen Mains, Maestroke. There are several issues brought up by that, and there's not really an official ruling on it yet. I'll probably redo another video about this after NAST just to figure out what do we say about the Soul Taker rulings. There are a lot of rulings that we want to go over, and there's a lot of rulings that need to be clarified, I find. And if anyone has any issues with rulings, please feel free to comment me by PMing me. Don't comment actually on the video, because I will actually be able to talk to the judges and see what their opinions are, and if there's any word on Konami about an official ruling. But as far as I can tell, Smashing Ground in the majority of decks is a better choice over a Soul Taker. Things like Injectors will still just say thank you for 1,000 points. 1,000 points is really beneficial to other decks, especially if you're paying life for things like Warning, Judgment, or Skill Drain in certain aspects. I just find that Smashing Ground is just more general. That's my opinion. You may differ, and that's great. I'd love to hear your comments. So, also, just like the previous video, please leave any comments you believe for Soul Taker versus Smashing Ground in the section below. So with that being said, this will be my last ILP podcast, or webcast, but I will actually be posting more whenever I get a chance to, if college permits me to, get some time and do more of these videos. So until then, I hope people keep watching this channel, as I'll try my best to put more updates on it and better videos. So until then, later YouTube.